Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Diego, and it's time for another K1 Green Card live stream. This is where you get all this free information on how to process a K1 visa, K2s, green cards, spousal visas, and how to lift the conditions off of a 2-year green card to a 10-year green card, and how to file for a 10-year green card, etc., etc. Now, I know you guys are keeping an eye on immigration, especially if you're from one of those countries that has been put on a block or a pause. But what's going on right now is that there are close to 200 people who are in this country legally who follow due process as per congressional law, who have filed a class action lawsuit against USCIS for failing to continue the adjudication of their green cards and their status, whatever that may be. The Congress of the United States put this green card process in place, not an executive order from the White House, okay? And USCIS must follow congressional law, not some arbitrary, I don't like you executive order. So, it's close to 200 green card holders in the United States, or folks with work permits, have filed a class action lawsuit against USCIS to continue their adjudication the way it should be. Either you qualify for the K1 visa or for the green card, or you don't qualify. James McLean. Yes, my wife is from Nigeria, and we're about to file our adjustment of status in 2 weeks. There you go, no problem. Go ahead and keep collecting the evidence for your adjustment of status paperwork. And hopefully by then the lawsuit would have made its way through some kind of litigation. We'll see, okay? But go ahead and file for that, for the 2-year green card. Make sure you have overwhelming evidence. Make sure that there are no mistakes on the 485, the 864. Make sure that you repeat the medical exam and that the doctor, the civil surgeon, signs Form 693 and dates it. If there's no date on the 693, your green card will be denied. And then you're going to be jumping through all kinds of hoops to try to get it reopened. Okay? So before you file your for your 2-year green card, make sure there are absolutely no mistakes in your application and that you have excellent evidence. She's on your bank account, right, as a joint bank account holder. She's on the lease to your apartment or the deed to your house. She's on the title to your car or motorcycle or RV, right? Or lease. If you're leasing a car, she's on the lease agreement, right? Her name is on the water bill, the electric bill, the internet bill. You have got her on your health insurance plan, correct? She has her health insurance with her name on it, and you can prove it. Those are the things immigration's looking for, especially health insurance. And don't make any mistakes when you fill out Form 864, the affidavit of support. Make sure you get your family size absolutely correct. Make sure you do not make any mistakes on the paperwork. James McLean, her 90-day I-94 expires February 6th. I hope we will be okay. Listen, the I-94 is legal status for your wife now that you're married to be in the United States. Whether it's expired or not, the I-94 is still legal status for her to be in the United States. So you're okay. Even when the I-94 is expired, she is still legally in the United States of America. She's still in status. You're going to file for the 2-year green card, and you're going to receive a 797 notice of action. You're going to receive a letter back from immigration saying they received your paperwork. Okay? So relax. You're good. Relax. Francois Livingston. Good evening, Diego and Karina. Francois, what's going on? How's everything in upstate New York? How's Hamid doing? How's everybody doing? So Karina and I, we've passed our 2-year anniversary. We're heading into 3 years now. Karina has been living in the United States. At the end of March, beginning of April, we're going to file for her 10-year green card. We have an outstanding application ready to go for her. Francois, all is good. Hamid is great and says hi. Well, hi there, Hamid. What's going on? It's almost it's welcome to the 2026. Happy belated second anniversary. Well, thank you, Francois. Yeah, the time goes by super quick. And just to remind everybody, okay, that from those folks who are from those countries that have been put on a block by the president via an executive order, okay, bypassing the Congress of the United States, those folks that have been put on a block for adjudication, close to 200 green card holders and legal permanent residents have filed a class action lawsuit against USCIS to make sure that USCIS follows congressional law and continues to adjudicate green cards. You don't just put a block and stop on somebody because you don't like the country they're from, or you don't like whatever it is you don't like about them. Okay, that's not how our republic works. So there are immigration attorneys that are very powerful that have started to drop the hammer on USCIS. So what's going to happen is federal judges are going to get involved, and they're going to read the law that's put in place by the Congress, and they're going to say, look, the congressional law says if somebody entered this country legally and followed due process and were paroled correctly into this country, you have to continue the process. You can't just stop the process because you don't like the person or the country they were born in. Okay, so federal judges are going to get involved. Immigration attorneys are already firing shots across the bow of USCIS. So to those folks who are stressing the process more so than the normal process, just relax, all right? Wait it out. I've been trying to get Venezuela and Cuba removed from the list of rogue nations. That's totally stupid. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, is putting Venezuela and Cuba on a list of rogue nations. It's insane. The people of these two countries are good people. It's not their fault that they were born in those countries and that their governments are total disasters. It's not their fault. Okay? So the administration is going to have to learn you can't start joking around with people's lives because you don't like where they were born and you don't like their government. I can't stand the Venezuelan government. I can't stand the Cuban government. In fact, what happened to Nicolas Maduro, the dictator of Venezuela? He's now in a cold, icy prison cell in New York City. Okay. He had plenty of opportunities to leave Venezuela and relocate to Belarus or somewhere else other than Venezuela. Trump gave him plenty of opportunities to relocate, but being the egotistical, low IQ bus driver that he is, he stayed and then the U.S. military went in very easily, landed in his backyard, went into his bedroom and said, come on, we're going for a freaking helicopter ride. Now he's in prison in New York City. It only took 10 hours to get him there. You know, I'm thinking, if Cuba wants to keep on playing the same games as Venezuela, maybe the president of Cuba might be next on that vacation list from Cuba to the United States. But, we can only see what happens. Now, President Trump is saying that Cuba could collapse economically without military intervention because they no longer get any oil from Venezuela. Well, that's not entirely true because communist Cuba gets its oil from now Mexico and from Russia, a little bit from Russia. But Putin has been delivering oil and diesel to Cuba since 2022. And communist, and that's Russia, and Mexico, the communist president of Mexico, she's got no issues with, she's got no beef with the communists in Cuba. They relate to each other. So she's shipping them oil from Mexico. So in order for communist Cuba to collapse economically the way Trump wants it to without military intervention is to stop oil from entering Cuba from Mexico and from Russia. Once that happens, then the economy will probably collapse. But right now, the Cuban economy is not going to sink because Venezuela's out of the picture. It's not. But what I want to do is I want to see Venezuela become a free country so that K-1 visas and green cards can be adjudicated from Caracas, Venezuela, which, by the way, is a beautiful city. Venezuela is a beautiful country. It's got wonderful people. It's not a third world nation like some folks in Washington, D.C. would like to portray Caracas as a third world country. It's not by any means. Okay? It's a beautiful country. It's modern. It's got modern technology. It was just ran into the ground by a communist dictator. Once Venezuela is back on track with capitalism, okay, then the country's going to turn back around. So same for Cuba. Once Cuba gets under control by capitalists and people that actually give a crap about the Cuban people and the Venezuelan people, the country's going to turn around. So that's all. That's the only thing that we can look forward to. Okay, but the good news is we're going to be filing for Karina's 10-year green card I think April 2nd is when we're going to drop the paperwork on immigration. And then they will send us a letter of extension giving Karina a 48-month extension on her 2-year green card. Now, Karina's from Venezuela, so she's on one of these poorest countries. So if they want to jack my family around, if USCIS want to mess with my wife and her green card, then I got one of the most powerful immigration attorneys on the planet ready to launch missiles into the director's office. You know, not real missiles, obviously, but legal ones. Jeff Mantok, my wife is getting ready to apply for her 10-year green card. Does she need another medical exam? No. This is the route. This is the process, okay? You get a medical exam in the country of origin. Like Karina, my wife, she had her medical exam for her K1 visa in Bogota, Colombia. I accompanied her to her medical exam in Bogota. Then she got to the United States and she was paroled legally into the United States in accordance with congressional law. And we repeated her medical exam, and her 693 was signed, and her vaccinations were recertified. Now we're getting ready to file for her 10-year green card in April of 2026. She does not need to repeat the medical exam. You only do the medical exam twice, once in the country of origin and once when you apply for the 2-year green card. Okay? So, Jeff, you got to kind of relax on that matter. When you file for the 10-year green card, you don't repeat the medical exam. You don't have to recertify vaccinations. You don't have to include a copy of the I-94. You don't have to include a copy of the K1 visa. You don't have to include that, okay? It's now irrelevant, but you must submit a fantastic 10-year green card application with overwhelming evidence of your 2 years together. Overwhelming evidence of your 2 years together, okay? And then you're going to get, then give it about 18 months to 2 years, and then your wife will get her 10-year green card, depending on what country she is from originally. I don't know what country she's from. I can't remember. But, you know, if she should get it in about 18 months, 18 months, somewhere in there. And Karina, she's getting ready to go back to her day shift. So she's taking the night off from the live stream. Tomorrow she starts her day shift finally after 4 months of working the graveyard shift. So hopefully we'll get to see Karina in a few live streams starting on Wednesday. Today is Monday, January 5th, 2026, the first day of Karina's 3rd year commencing in the United States. She's been starting her 3rd year, which is good news. And we look forward to her getting her 10-year green card, which she's going to get, whether I have to go through USCIS or through a federal judge. It's no skin off my nose. Either way, she's going to get adjudicated and will get her green card. Okay? I don't care how many executive orders have been signed. I don't care who's pushing who around. It's irrelevant. The Congress of the United States made a law that said if you were paroled legally into this country, you have a right to due process. And executive orders cannot block due process. So close to 200 people have filed lawsuits against USCIS to make them do their freaking job. Now, Karina, I don't know if you checked out our website, but this right here is white chocolate from Venezuela. It's very hard to get in the United States. It's called Galac. It's kind of like Milky Bar. But Karina has her own website. She started her own coffee company. And she also sells Venezuelan chocolate like this. And somebody was clicking on there in YouTube. They were showing an interest. And I don't know if it's any of you guys, but if you're interested in any Venezuelan white chocolate, It's very hard to get, and here it is. And she's selling this for $25. And what's included? There are 5 large chocolate bars in here, 5 for $25, and it's very tasty stuff. And Karina also has her own T-shirt company, and she's making these T-shirts right here. Look at that. She designed these things, okay, and she's making these T-shirts. I think this is like $25. And then she sells coffee. When your beneficiary comes to the United States of America, you want to get involved in the community. You want to get involved in the capitalist entrepreneurship if you can. You know, Karina started her own coffee company. Maybe you can start something else. Maybe you could do something else. Maybe you could get into real estate. I don't know. But once you come to the United States of America, once you get your green card, you can start a business, start an LLC, start you could become a partnership or a sole corporation, whatever you want to do. Make a business here. And then once you've created a business, include all that information in your 2-year green card application, or your 10-year not your 2-year green card application, in your 10-year green card application. Once you get your 10-year green card, then you'll be able to expand your business. Arnold Schwarzenegger came to the United States on a work visa, and within 3 years, I think it was 3 years, he was a multimillionaire. He started a construction company with Franco Colombo. He was building houses and whatever he was doing in construction. Became a millionaire on a work permit. Now he's a U.S. citizen. So the opportunities in the United States are here for you. You just got to get up there and go take advantage of the opportunities. Under this new administration, green card adjudication is going to be more strict in regards to paperwork. If you mess up the paperwork, you're going to get denied. So don't make any mistakes when you file for the 2-year green card. Don't make any mistakes. You cannot make a mistake. I can't emphasize that enough. Okay. If you are, too shy to start a business, if it's not in your bloodstream to be a business entrepreneur, that's fine too. But find a job that you like to do and succeed in that job. Because immigration are looking for people. Once you file for the 10-year green card, they're looking for people who have become self-reliant in this country. Like Karina, she's self-independent. She has a fantastic job. She's been promoted once already, so she's independent. If something was to happen to me, Karina is okay. So immigration's going to know when we file for the 10-year green card, they're going to see that Karina has started a business, coffee, T-shirts. She has a good job. And I got my military 1099 today, so I'll be filing our taxes probably in March. They're going to see our tax returns, and we're going to file our tax returns together. You have to file a joint tax return to satisfy immigration that you are commingling funds and that you are co-joined as a family. There was one person sent me a message, said, I don't want to file a joint tax return. I've always filed single or whatever. Well, if you're married to a green card holder now in a family unit, you have to file a joint tax return. If you don't, there's going to be issues with immigration. They're going to triple interview you. They're going to double check your everything. They're going to go over your entire green card application and your K-1 visa application from day one. It's going to slow down the adjudication by months and months and months. Christopher Reese, good evening, Diego, Rihanna, and I in the house. Well, welcome aboard. Now, Christopher and Francois, both you guys are members of this channel. Karina and I, we appreciate you supporting the channel by being members. And as a member, you have my cell phone number and my email address, and you can call me and text me any day you want, 7 days a week. If you have an urgent immigration question, I got allergies or something. If you have an urgent immigration question that you want me to answer for you on a Sunday at 10 o'clock at night, if you are a member of this channel, I am open for business for you to help you, because you may have something that you have to do for Monday and you need an answer on Sunday. Well, USCIS isn't going to respond to you on a Sunday. Immigration attorneys are not going to respond to you on a Sunday, but I will, because I'm always open 7 days a week. If I don't respond to a text message right away, or a phone call, or an email, I'm probably in the yard, or I'm washing the car, or I'm taking a shower, or I'm driving. But you will get a response from me that day. Okay? If you text me or message me on Sunday, you're going to hear from me, and I'm going to be helping you. And I don't care what the question is. There's no such thing as a stupid question in immigration. If you're shy about asking me questions, you don't be shy. If you want to know the answer to a question, I'll give you the answer. I've been doing this for 13 years now. But remember, I'm not an immigration attorney, and I don't give you legal advice, and I don't work for USCIS. I know you're out there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for your adjudication, and it sucks. And you spent a lot of money on this process. Well, it's not cheap bringing someone to the United States, that's for sure. Jeff Mantalk, her son is now 19. Does he file the I-751? Jeff Mantalk, did your son accompany your wife, now your wife, into the United States at the same time on a K-2? Jeff, listen, when your stepson, who's 19 years old, did he get paroled into the United States with your then fiance, your soon-to-be wife, together at the same time? And did they both get their I-94s on the same day? I need to know the answer to that question. And then I'll go ahead and I'll give you a detailed explanation on what he's going to do to get his 2-year green card. Okay? But I got to know when he arrived in the United States. Was it with your now wife, or was it after 90 days? When did he come to the United States? Once I know the answer to that question, I'll give you the answer to your question on your stepson is now 19. Does he file the I-751? Well, the answer to that is yes, he's going to file a 751 if he did not come to the United States at the same time as your wife did. But if your stepson, who is now 19, entered the United States at the same time as your now wife, you're going to include him on one I-751. So you're going to fill out with your wife. It's a joint paperwork. If your stepson accompanied your wife, now your wife, to the United States, and they both arrived together into the immigration on the same day, you're going to include his name on one 751, and then you're going to file a $750 application fee for the 751, a paper application fee. Don't do it online. Do not file for the 751 online. Don't do that. You're going to file an individual 751 for your wife and your stepson on the same form, but you're going to have two G1650s filled out. I'll write it here for you. Okay, G1650. You're going to fill out two G1650s, one for your wife for $750 and one for your stepson for $85. Okay. Now, the $85 is to pay for the biometrics. This is for the stepson. Okay. This is for the stepson. $85. All right. You understand what I'm telling you here? For your wife, the 751 is going to be $750. Okay? So $750 and $85, you add those two numbers together, but you don't pay in one. Remember, you cannot use a check or a money order or to pay for the I-751. You have to use Form G1650. Or you can use your credit card, but I do not recommend you do that. So you go to USCIS.com/forms, look for Form G1650. You're going to fill out one for your wife, and you're going to fill out one for your stepson. The amount of money you're going to authorize USCIS to take out of your checking account is going to be $750 for your wife, and that price includes her biometrics. And then you're going to fill out a G1650 for your stepson, and that's going to be for $85, and that's going to pay for his biometrics. You put those two forms together, plus one I-751, plus all the evidence of your marriage over the last 2 years, and you file for the 10-year green card. That's how you do it if your stepson arrives at the same time into the United States with your now wife, or within 90 days of arriving, okay? If your stepson arrived into the United States 90 days after your wife, let's suppose he arrived 4 months later, then he's going to have to file a separate 751 and pay a separate fee of $750. But if you arrived within the same day as your wife did, you're going to file one I-751. You're going to pay a $750 fee for hers and $85 for his on two separate G1650s. You cannot combine the two numbers together. You cannot fill out one G1650 and put $750 and $85 on the one form. They have to be two separate forms. And then you have to be collecting all the evidence for your stepson who is 19 years old. What evidence do you have of him in the United States for the past 2 years? What has he done? What has he done for the last 2 years since he's been here? Has he attended college? Did he get a job? What's he doing? You should have evidence for your wife and you together for 2 years, and you should have a separate packet of information for your stepson, but you're going to put the two packets together in the one FedEx or UPS or DHL package box, and you're going to have two G1650s, but you're going to only fill out one I-751. Did that explain it to you, Jeff Mantok? Do you understand what I just said? Because the information I'm giving you, an immigration attorney is going to bill you $400 just for the phone call, or $500 or $600. I'm giving you the information from my 13 years experience on how to do this, okay? And I do not make mistakes on this channel. I've never once made a mistake on this channel. So if you have learned, if you've understood what I just told you, then you're good to go. And I've explained it to you how to do it. If you want to rerun the video after I finish the live stream and watch it again, what I just explained, you're welcome to do that. Now, this process isn't easy by any means. And immigration make it complicated, and it's even more difficult now because of the zero tolerance for mistakes on paperwork. Okay, there's zero tolerance. But that's the way the cookie crumbles, and every president has their way of doing things. President Trump's way of doing things is this way. And then we have an election for a new president in 2028, 2029, right in there, I think somewhere in there. And then that new president is going to have his or her way of doing things. And then this year we have an election in Congress, the Congress of the United States, and no doubt new people are going to be elected into the Congress, and they're going to have their way of doing things with immigration. So things could change again. So it all depends on who's in Congress and who's in the White House. Okay? You got it? It's easy. But my advice to you guys is, when you file for your 2-year green card, for your 10-year green card, when you file for your K-1 visa, make sure you overwhelm immigration with evidence of your relationship with your beneficiary, and make sure that you do not make any mistakes on the paperwork. If you need me to help you fill out an I-129F, I can fill it out for you with zero mistakes. If you need help with an 864, I can fill it out for you with zero mistakes. I just got to need to know how many people are in your family. Same is true with the 485 and the 751. Okay? Jeff Mantok, yes, he was. He's a K2. Okay, so Jeff, listen up, Jeff. Your stepson arrived in the United States with your now wife at the same time. They were both paroled into the United States at the same time. So you can include him on the 751. So go to USCISforms.gov /forms, look for form 751, and go in and fill it out as much as you can. When you get closer to filing for the 10-year green card, and include your stepson on the 751. He's going to be included on that paperwork. You don't have to file a, like when you filed for his green card, you had to file a separate. He came here at the same time. Okay, so all you're going to do is fill out one 751, and you're going to include your wife and your stepson on that paperwork. Okay, and make sure you get passport photos taken of your wife and of your stepson. Put them in Ziploc bags. Include those in the paperwork when you file it. Make sure you get a certified copy of your marriage certificate, stamped and signed and certified by the clerk of the court. And you're going to put this fantastic 10-year green card package together for your wife and your stepson. And you're going to include your stepson in the same box, the same FedEx box or UPS box or DHL box. You're going to put his paperwork in with your wife's paperwork in separate folders. Okay. Make a cover sheet and explain what's in the paper. Explain what you have included in your application. And you're going to fill out two separate G1650s, one for your wife for $750 and one for your stepson for $85. And you can also fill out a G1145 if you want to do that, which will then immigration will notify you when they receive your application. Jeff Mantok, do you understand how to do this for your stepson? Was my explanation clear enough to you? Demetrius Chapman, good evening, Diego. What documents do I have to submit to apply for my stepchildren abroad? Well, why didn't they come in with you on as K2s? Why are they still overseas? And how old are they? Are they 21 years or less? Are they under 21? Are they under 21 years of age? And why didn't they accompany your beneficiary as K2s? Why are they're age 14 and 16? Okay. Why are they still overseas? Why weren't they included as K2s on the K1 visa application? I need to know the answer to that question. Why are they still overseas? Did they not want to come to the United States? Did they stay with somebody else? Are they with their grandparents? And so you're going to have to file two separate I-130s for them. Okay, I-130. I'll make a video tomorrow. Let me fill it out right here. If they didn't come in on K2s, then you're going to have to file two separate I-130s for them, which is a family member. Okay, you're going to be filing for a family member. And you asked me what documents do I have to submit for my children abroad? Well, the child that's 16. You're going to have to get police certificates from wherever he lives now and whichever countries he's lived in since the age of 16. The child who's 14, you don't need to get any police certificates. For the child who's 16 or under, 16 or older, you got to get police certificates. You're going to have to they got to both have passports that have got at least 9 months on them before they expire. You're going to have to get copies of their birth certificates translated into English, depending on what country they're from. If it's unless if it's in a foreign language, you got to get their birth certificates translated into English. You've got to provide evidence that they are your children. Okay, your stepchildren. You got to prove that they are your stepchildren. But probably what's going to happen more than likely is is that your wife is probably going to have to do this because it's probably going to have to fall on your wife's shoulders in order to bring them into the United States. But Form I-130 is going to be the process, okay? You can apply or your wife can apply. But you got to have evidence that they are your stepchildren. You got to prove it with evidence, okay? You got it? There's a lot of paperwork involved. The I-130. Biographic pages of passports, police certificates for children 16 and older, certified copy of your marriage certificate to your wife, the mother to these children, pictures of you with them. Do you have any pictures with you of you with your stepchildren in family events in the country, wherever it is they live right now. You got to have pictures with them. You got to show that you've maintained financial support for these children. Are you sending money once a month to them? You got to send them money once a month. That you got to provide financial support. You have to show immigration that you are providing financial support to these children. So once a month, you need to be getting on, Western Union or whatever, MoneyGram. I don't know where the children live, but you got to be sending them money, and you keep you send them money. You keep the receipt from Western Union, and you collect all the receipts every month that you are maintaining financial support for these two children. If you can't prove financial support, you're going to it'll be a much harder time for you to get them in the United States. So that's just the basics, okay? Did that help you? And it's going to take over a year to do it. But hopefully the information I just gave to you will significantly help you. It's going to get you a kickstart, right? It'll give you some groundwork on what you need to do. So I would start looking for photographs with the children, with family events, get their birth certificates, get their passports in order, get proof of financial support. Start collecting all that evidence. And then when you have a very good package put together, then you can go ahead and file for the I-130s individually for each child. But, it also depends on what country they're from. So, help me out a little bit. Tell me which country they're living in, and it will give me some idea of, what kind of lead time you're looking at on bringing them to the United States. But you can do it because they're family members, but I'm surprised. So Ethiopia, okay. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't come in on K2s. Did they decide they just want to continue their education in Ethiopia, or they just wanted to stay with grandma? I don't know. But it would have been much easier. It would have been much more easier for you if you'd have brought them in on K2s. Now you're going to have to go through a bunch of paperwork, a lot of immigration paperwork, I-130s, two I-130s. They're going to both have to have passports. And they live with their dad. Okay. They live with their father. And now they want to come to the United States and live with you guys. Makes sense. Because immigration is going to probably want an explanation as to why they didn't come over on a K2. You're going to have to write a letter of explanation why they remained in Ethiopia. They decided they wanted to live with their father, or they wanted to continue with their education in Ethiopia. Whatever the reason is. You got to write a letter of explanation, because the first question immigration is going to ask is, like what I did, why didn't you bring them over on a K2? They could have already been here already, and everything would be all done. So if they've decided they want to live in the United States, well, that's great, no problem. And if you need me to help you with the paperwork, if you need me to help you through this process, I'll help you. I've done I-130s. I've filled this paperwork out in my sleep. I've helped reunite children with moms and dads. It's just a different form to fill out, but the evidence maintained is the same. Okay, and like Jeff Mantalk, all you got to do is fill out a 751, one 751 for you and your stepson, just one. But you must include your stepson on the 751. Okay, and there's one fee, $750. Pay by, use the mail in your evidence. Don't go online and file. Do not lift conditions off of your 2-year green card online. It's $700. So you're saving $50. Whoop-de-doo, plus the shipping fee. Don't do it. USCIS online account with adjudication of 10-year green cards online is not yet fully vetted itself. There's still some, dust in the programming. So don't get caught up in that. Just put together a fantastic 10-year green card application and pay the $750. If you're including a K2 in that green card application, then fill out a separate G1650 and pay the $85 for the biometrics. And that's it. It's easy. And that G1650 is an easy form to fill out. But once you've filled out the form G1650, you need to go to your bank with the G1650s in your sweaty palms, and you go into your bank and say, and you sit down with somebody and say, this is a USCIS immigration form G1650. This is giving USCIS authorization to take money out of my checking account or savings account to pay for a immigration benefit, whether it's a 10-year green card, a 2-year green card, whatever. But you must get your bank to go into their little computer and lift any blocks off of that G1650. So when immigration receives the G1650 and they go in to their trusted computer and they try to take the money out of your checking account, the bank is not going to block the transaction, because there's going to be a little code there already that you've got them to put in there that says you have authorized it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Immigration is getting more online technical. They're trying to be more modern, I guess you'd say, but there's still, things they have to fix in their system. So make sure you go into the bank with the G1650 in your hand and say, listen, this is to pay for my wife's 10-year green card. This is to pay for my wife's 2-year green card. This is USCIS. Go on your computer and authorize them to take money out of my checking account. So that way you won't get any hiccups when USCIS doesn't get paid because the bank blocked the transaction because they had no clue what was going on. The bank is going to protect your account. So you have to be the one that lifts the conditions on the bank so that immigration can get paid. Because if immigration do not receive payment, your green card or your K-1 visa application is going to be stuck in limbo. It could add more to your application. Okay? If you pay attention to what I'm telling you guys, class, I'm going to save you lots of headaches. Okay? So we're going to put some mega pixie dust on everybody so that you all survive this process. Okay? And Mountain Dew salutes to everybody for hanging out with me here on a Monday when you could be doing other things. We appreciate that you hang out with us. And Karina, if she won't be too worn out. Probably by Wednesday, she'll join me on the live stream Wednesday. See how she feels. She's been working the night shift for the last 4 months. Woo. That's like, serious. And then you try sleeping during the day that's when everybody's getting up. It's kind of hard. This green card process is not going to be a problem for you guys so long as you pay attention to detail, you don't make any paperwork mistakes, and you overwhelm immigration with evidence of your relationship. Okay? If you submit a real poor 10-year green card application, if you've been together for 10 years now or 2 years now, and you don't put together a decent package, don't be surprised if you get a green card denial at the 751 stage. Don't be surprised if your 2-year green card gets denied if you don't submit strong evidence of your relationship. Immigration is getting stricter and stricter and stricter. It's not getting easier. It's getting harder. So you want to make it easier for you and make it easier for USCIS to have absolutely no doubt in their mind. Boom, there's your green card. All right? Okay, guys, I've been talking for 45 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and log off. I'll make a video tomorrow for you on I-130. So I had a lot of questions on the I-130. Jeff Mantalk, if you have any questions, more questions on the 751, let me know. And if you join as a member, if you sign up as a member, then you'll get my phone number, and you can call me if you want me to walk you through the process with your stepson and your wife on the 751. I'll walk you through it over the phone, however you want to do it. But I'll see you guys on Wednesday, and hang in there. Don't be stressing this, okay?